Welcome to episode 9 of Psycho Pass. Last time we had the end of the Rikako Oreo story. That was pretty brutal. And we have Makishima onto Kogami just as much as they are coming after him. And so I can't wait to see more of this cat and mouse game between the two sides. It'll be really interesting. So let's get into it. We're going to watch and discuss. Got the subtitles and the timer on the screen if you want to follow along. Or you can pull up the episode on your own. We're starting after any logos at the beginning. Let's get into it in 3, 2, 1, play. Okay, listening to the recording of Makishima. There's one little extra bit of information about him. Yeah, they don't know what happened to her, so... Okay, well, he could probably put the pieces together. The guy from the previous case disappeared. He probably knows that this man, Makishima, has disposed of them. Right now, they don't know for sure, and I don't know if they ever will. Oh? Okay. Well, that's pretty big of him to admit that. That's good. Yeah. You missed him, but on the bright side, you were closer than you've been, so good way to look at it. But yeah, I mean, that's good of him to admit that. You know, it's good to be skeptical, and removing him from the case is probably a good idea because of the personal involvement. But yeah, like, you know, listen to his ideas as well, and he admitted, like, I got too emotional, and looks like the guy was real, so that's cool. They aren't, like, totally horrible with each other. Like, Kogami is still pretty friendly to him, calling him Gino and everything, and so that's nice to see. Gino's in the earlier episodes when we were getting to know him, I was like, okay, fuck this guy, but he's not as bad as he initially seemed. But yeah, while the OP is playing, let me say that if you enjoy these videos, subscribe to the channel. Psycho Pass comes out every Wednesday, with other videos every single day of the week. Also, check out the description down below. You got Twitter and Discord if you want to check those out, and Patreon if you want to support this channel in the best way possible. Get these videos early, get access to vlogs, and polls where you can vote on the shows that I watch. Thank you very much. So... yeah, now they're all getting more info about Makishima. He knows about Kogami. So I'm excited. It's great to have him involved so early in the story. And hopefully more and more as we go. And I can't wait to learn more about him and his buddies, Cho and the guy with the shotgun. Paradise Fruit. Okay. Picking the right outfit. I like the stuff that I said it before. I like Akane's design, and I like her kind of at home and, you know, off duty attitude, like with her clothes and her apartment style and everything. So clearly they do wear clothes. It seems like she just kind of wears that, and then the rest of it is just the hologram over it. What's up, guys? Nice. Little octopus homes. Okay, cool. You could just delete the memory if it's annoying you. Huh. They upload recommended videos? What is it? Okay, yeah. That's the guy, isn't it? That's the guy, I think. Like, it looks like him. Just making sure. Okay, so this guy, does he blink ever? It's kind of creepy. So he believes that our souls should be beyond our bodies. I mean, this is kind of like what the Avatar guy was into. He's like, "Oh, the avatars, they live forever and they're cool." This thing's very serious about smoking. Alright, so we get to learn a little more about this guy. So now there's a whole new facet of this world with cybernetic enhancements to the body. But yeah, she's like, there's still limits to it. Okay, well, hopefully they do. It's said by some. Understandable. But yeah, like in this society, they've already kind of, you could hope, they've kind of already become less human in certain ways. And now literally replacing their body, just moving further away. That would make sense. People are like, as long as I'm mostly human. I mean, just look at this man's face and you don't want to be like him. Look at his eyes. He doesn't blink. What, do you just have like artificial boobs or something? Oh, okay. Sorry for jumping to assumptions. Yeah, everybody has all this stuff. You'd like lose your entire being, your whole sense of self. It's all in there. Yeah, exactly. They completely rely on it. Which is not entirely different than how we are today. Interesting perspective. Like, your sense of self is so interwoven with technology that you're practically a cyborg already. So, like, what's the difference in replacing your literal body? That's where he's coming from. But I understand the skepticism. Like, it is a big next step forward for sure. If I don't want to use my phone, I just put it down. I put it over there. It's not literally part of me. Yeah, this seems like a more of a just a chill, natural place. Professor Saiga, not a professor anymore, living out here kind of isolated. Then I guess it's fine. You don't have, like, water? Nice looking place, though. Interesting question. I guess you know about her? How are you figuring this out? Did you look into her beforehand? Or, like, are you some Sherlock Holmes ass? just... Okay. Close with her grandma. That's weird. What's the connection there? Huh. Yeah, what the fuck just happened? Simple observation. My observation is that she's wearing yellow. That's all I got. Oh, well, good for you. Okay, I guess he just read the signs and we're good. It's definitely useful, and it's good that she can learn all this stuff. Yeah, try to be better at your job. That's cool. Okay, that's smart too. See who else has gone through this, because you never know. But if it's just a request from you, then yeah, of course. The worst criminal. Kind of seems that way. Usually does a good job of keeping criminals down. Yeah. You can tell all this just from the little that they've seen of him. Pretty much somebody who just draws other people to them. Okay, if we want to get detailed about it. All? So that's the identity that he took. Yeah, he was just in the school, just being a teacher. Of course it was. I wouldn't think so. At least they are onto him now. It's pretty striking, though, with the white hair. Luckily, he's not just some normal ass looking dude. He looks like a villain, so that helps. Well, that's not. Yeah, like, that's not part of the typical teaching, it doesn't seem. Okay. So they were able to take them at one point. Yeah, that makes sense. I was thinking that that would probably happen. I was wondering, like, with him, with Saiga, like, if his had gone up at all. But yeah, learning about this stuff just raises your coefficient. And being in a crowd of it was too much. Well, hopefully. Yeah, well, the system decided that, but whether... I think there's other forms of judgment other than what the system says. um... Okay. I was trying to think of something more obscure. Because you let me hunt the most dangerous game. Oh, that's nice. Good for you. You're not psychotic at all. Okay. Oh my god. So he believes that what he was saying before about like, oh, my mind is doing okay. I've stopped the aging a bit. It's in his mind by sacrificing others and the more exciting. Okay, yeah, he needs the thrill to keep himself alive. Yep. You got to have something that you're passionate about and that keeps you excited and engaged and keeps you going, keeps you young in a way. And for him, it's that. So we're sending someone after Kogami straight away. That should be interesting. I don't think there's time in this episode, but it'll be cool when it happens. Of course he'd be worried. Alright, man. You were just apologizing for being too emotional before. But he's very serious of the difference between the two and about that not happening to anybody else. She's saying, hey, it's got to help people, and that's the main goal, where he says it's not worth the risk. Which is understandable too, because like if you lose yourself entirely, who knows what the hell's going to happen to you, and you might not be able to help anybody else going forward. But damn, though, she's really standing up for herself. Good for her. Nothing to say to that. Holy shit, she's like going to fucking HR to complain. I don't think it's that serious. You could probably hold off on that. Yeah, we heard about the father before. Makes sense. And, he's talking about Ginos' father. making it seem like his father is someone else. But because of that, I'm pretty sure it's him. Making it seem like he's talking about, oh yeah, he knows his father. I need more information to be completely sure, because it seems like it might not be the case, but I feel like just the way he's talking about it, you know, they're trying to make it seem like he's not his father, which makes me think that he is, and just the way he's talking about it makes it seem like he's got a personal investment. Yeah, that's kind of his laser focus at this point. Alright, here he goes. He's gonna go try to kill Kogami. There's like a spark of life within you. Yeah, he's interested. Wow, oh, creepy. But yeah, so just the way he was talking. Like I said, the way he's talking about, oh, he knows his father, and oh, it must have been so hard on him, makes it feel like he is feeling guilt for this as his father. That's how it feels. So that is that. There's probably nothing after the ED. There usually isn't. So let's talk about that one. All right, episode 9. I'm glad that we are already moving towards Makishima and Kogami, you know, going against each other, encountering each other, just developing Makishima more, making him more active in the plot. Because last time, of course, Makishima found out about Kogami and wanted to know more about him, so I was wondering, will we build up to that over time? Will we have some other smaller cases in between? But no, here he is again with Senguji, who we find out his name and his standing and some of his ideas. He's real creepy. Not a fan of his face, not a fan of his eyes at all. But he has already sent him to just go straight up kill Kogami, which doesn't happen this time, but this episode is a good build-up for that happening maybe next time. So that's exciting. I can't wait to see what happens there. It was cool learning more about Senguji, seeing him and Makishima together, and everything on the police side as well. But yeah, this guy Senguji, they do a really good job of making his face unsettling. He's a creepy guy. I mean, we already know like what he's done and what he's capable of with taking a shotgun to a teenage girl's face and being super happy about it. But even without that knowledge, just his face by itself is really creepy. And he is interested in immortality and staying young, living forever, and replacing your body with cybernetic parts, and he's way into that, and he wants everybody to be. He's trying to make advancements in that field and convince people that that's the right way to do things, and his perspective is interesting. It really ties back in a lot to the arc with the whole online avatar thing, because of course that guy, he was like way into avatars, and he was interested in like that being a more like pure representation of a person rather than the actual person themselves, and like the avatar is this just immortal thing that he was way into. And so this guy sees that as well, like humans are trapped in their bodies and they should be able to modify it or leave it and achieve immortality. And with the avatar thing, that's interesting too, because that's like, you know, that's a representation of you. It's not literally you, and then this is sort of heading in that direction as well. People are concerned, like, how much of my body do I have to replace when I'm just not me anymore? And that's like a grand philosophical debate that's been happening forever. What is it called? It's like the something boat. It's like a thought experiment or a philosophical debate, like if you replace every piece of a boat, is it the same boat? Even if, like, you make it exactly the same, if you just replace every piece one by one, is it technically the same? Are we technically the same person that we were however long ago? Like, our cells die and, like, get replaced with new ones and whatnot. Are we technically the same person? These are the kind of things that you lose your mind over. But, yeah, like, understandable concerns. People are like, I don't think I want to go beyond 50%. Some people wouldn't want synthetic modifications at all. But his perspective is interesting with what he was saying, how, like, we're so reliant on technology, which we already are in this day and age. The internet goes out and it's like, fucking what do I do even? But now, especially in this world, when they have all this technology around them all the time that they're so dependent on, and they think for themselves much less. It is a part of them, and without it, like, they lose a huge part of who they are, and it's like they can't even do anything. So he's saying, is it really that different? Is it really that big of a step to move to putting them literally in your body? Like, they're already such an integral part of you. It's like they're a literal part of you already, so he doesn't really see it as being that different. But I do understand not wanting to do it. And I think there is a difference, but it's an interesting debate, and it's cool learning more about the guy and hearing him talk to Makishima. Ginoza was good at the beginning of the episode, apologizing. I'm really glad that they are learning more about Makishima, and they're on to that now, and I can't wait to see how this all goes, but actually apologizing for not listening to Kogami and getting too emotional was really good. He has some other scenes later in the episode that aren't as good, but that one was nice. He was right. It was understandable to take Kogami off of the case because he was too personally involved. And maybe just too obsessed with it, but, you know, definitely listen, definitely consider his theories, don't dismiss it just out of pocket. That's true as well. Being skeptical is okay, not just listening to everything every enforcer tells you, but that was nice of him to apologize and to see a nice moment between the two of them. Like, Kogami clearly still has respect for him, calls him Gino. They're pretty friendly towards each other. It's not like he hates Kogami because his hue got clouded and he became an enforcer or anything like that. So that's cool between the two of them. Later in the episode, not so much with Akane, but that was a really good scene for her. Like, that was a really good scene to show Ginoza being nice, and it was like, oh, well, you know, Ginoza isn't quite as bad as I first thought he was, and then it's like, well, then he went and did that. But we do learn more about him that makes it understandable. But Kogami as well in that opening scene saying, like, oh, my prey is like brushed the tip of my nose, and he's excited about that he's actually getting a little bit closer, even if it's only a tiny bit. But yeah, that scene with Akane later where he just chastises her and once again enforces his ideals of, like, making sure your hue is not clouded. You don't go down to the level of enforcer and being careful about that, whereas she wants to prioritize solving crimes and saving people over her own well-being. Totally self-sacrificial in that way, although she's really good at keeping her hue in control. She doesn't really have to worry about that yet, but he is not. He has had too much experience with that, and he doesn't want that to happen to him or anybody else. He hates seeing that happen, and I get that, especially with what we learn about his father. And also, you know, if you think about it long term, if you become a latent criminal, like, who knows what could happen, who knows how far you could sink and what you'll do and what'll happen to you, and then you lose everything, and then not only have you lost your job and whatnot and your life, but you can't then save anyone else going forward and solve any more crimes. So maybe it's better to be careful in the short term for just the long term, for the sake of that. But yeah, with his father, and it's cool hearing about, like, the way the system has evolved and changed over the years, and how people's perception of latent criminals has affected people close to them. And Masaoka's definitely his father. They're trying to make it seem like he's not, which means that he is. That's how stories work. So yeah, just the way he's talking about him as if his father is somebody else, just on its own, like, guarantees to me. Not quite, not 100%, but I'm mostly there. I'm like at 90%, I'm pretty sure. And just the way he felt personally invested in what he was saying. Like, the way he was saying, like, oh, it must have been really hard for Nobuchika. Like, yeah, because of his father, this happened to him. Like, he feels guilt and might not be willing to just straight up admit that, oh yeah, I'm his father. But he probably is. But Akane standing up to him like that was really cool. I can get where he's coming from, having that experience from a young age and seeing all these people around him become latent criminals and just being so against it and being so afraid of it. But yeah, like, him yelling at her like that was wrong, and she just yelled right back. She stood up to him and was like, hey man, fuck off, and she was gonna go, like, report his behavior to human resources or whatever. But she was very serious about it, and that was really cool for her to stand up for herself and make her beliefs known and understood. And it was also cool that she went with Kogami to go meet this guy, Saiga. I really like seeing Akane in her downtime. I just love, like, her attitude, her cutesy style, like the clothes that she wears and her little jellyfish thing, and just her apartment style with the holograms. I just think it looks really cool and kind of endears you to the character, seeing what she's like outside of work, but that she's willing to go learn from this man and, like, get the skills that Kogami has and be able to do actual detective work and profiling and stuff like that. Taking the initiative to learn more about the job is good. And I was wondering when they met this guy, like, he presumably doesn't have a high coefficient despite studying and teaching this stuff all the time. But it's interesting to learn, again, like, about how society has changed and how this stuff used to be taught in university, but it was too dangerous for people's hues, because you're learning about crime, you're getting into the heads of the criminals, and it's clouding your hue and sending up the coefficients when it's in a group, a big, like, lecture hall. So they had to cancel that. But he's not a fan of this society for the most part, it seems. He lives kind of isolated without a lot of the technology that they use and seems to keep to himself. But he's a very Sherlock Holmes-esque character. He just kind of looks at Akane and he's like, I know literally everything that's ever happened to you. And he just goes into all these details about how she can't swim and a relationship with her parents and her grandparents, specifically her grandmother. And apparently there's a connection between, like, having a good relationship with your grandparents or the elderly from a young age and, like, being able to interact well with, like, hollow AI. I don't know what the fuck that means. So I can't wait to see more of this Senguji guy hunting Kogami. Should be really cool. He's, like, almost entirely cyborg. Does he have, like, rocket launchers in his hands? Does he have any weird shit like that? I don't know. What kind of weird cyborg shit can he do? But I want to see more and see where this debate goes about cybernetic replacements, immortality, whether you would want to live forever, you would want to stay young forever. Like Kogami says, hey, forever as a latent criminal doesn't really sound all that great, and Akane's talking about how maybe the system can be improved over time, which should definitely be her eventual goal of reforming and improving the way the system works, and remaining hopeful that, hey, maybe they'll be treated better in the future. Maybe we can do something about that and live long enough to see something like that come to fruition. Like, right now, this guy's not immortal. He's saying he can live for quite a long time, longer than usual, but he still has to hope for more advancements and strive for them to achieve true immortality that he wants. And of course, behind him, you still have Makishima, and that was a good conversation, too, where they're talking about charisma and really hyping up Makishima and describing him pretty much to a T, and learning about the fake identity of the school teacher and, you know, how he infiltrated there and everything, and that creepy little smile at the end when he sends him out on his hunting job. This just seems to be what he needs in order to keep his mind active and youthful, because, like, that's the one thing, the brain, it can't survive forever despite what he does to his body. So basically, like they've said before, and like we've talked about before, people need some kind of purpose. They need some level of stress, some excitement, some things to strive for and be passionate about. And for him, it just happens to be hunting people. Not the best hobby, not the best choice, but I guess that's what works for him. But yeah, you need something like that in order to be a person. Like he says, all of these people that are just like the living dead, and all these people walking around, and they don't think for themselves, and they don't strive for anything personally. They just do what the system says, and there's not much more to them than that. But he's got to keep his brain young and active, and he's crazy, so this is how he does it. Also takes the bones and makes them into pipes and smokes through them, and he's like, oh yeah, that's good, sacrificing lives, that's how I get my kicks. That's just what does it for him. I'd be curious to know about his crime coefficient. Like Akane says, it's crazy that just listening to lectures can raise it. And I like that conversation about how, like, it's a swamp and you dive in too deep and you can't come back, and what's going to happen with her or Kogami in that regard. She's saying, like, he seems like the kind of person who can dive in deep and come back. And, well, from the system's point of view, no, because he's been labeled a latent criminal. But from another point of view, like, can you be in this life? Can you hunt down this man Makishima, capture him, kill him, whatever, and then go back to being a normal person? We'll see what happens. But with Senguji's coefficient, Like, has he just avoided scans or what? Because it's actually possible that it might not be that high. I'd be curious to know how it works, because a lot of what we've seen from people with high coefficients are really about the stress level and stuff like that, and he's a very calm, collected man. He's not like going insane, like, oh, I gotta kill these people. No, he's just like, he's totally comfortable with his ideals and his state of mind and everything. So maybe the system would just scan him as being like perfectly happy, because technically he is, because he has found the thing that he enjoys doing, hunting people, and he's fulfilled in doing it and striving towards his goals happily. So maybe it would just register him as being a normal, happy guy. I don't know. I don't know if it can just read his mind and see, oh yeah, also he kills people. I'm not sure what his coefficient would be. Like, clearly he's a psychopath, so there's gonna be some abnormality in his brain, but I don't know if the system would detect that, or if they would just detect that he's not stressed. Yeah, overall it was a good episode. A little bit about Makishima, getting to know a lot about this Senguji guy, interesting discussion points that he brings up, and he's just really creepy. Good stuff for Akane, her learning more about the job, about the other people around her, really standing up for herself. That was good. She's faded a little more into the background recently, and there's been kind of more focus on Kogami, so it's nice for her to have scenes like that, but Kogami's still good as well. Interesting scenes with Ginoza and Masaoka. There's a lot of good stuff in this episode, so I can't wait to see where we're gonna go with the hunt. Let me know what you thought about this episode. There's quite a lot to say. We can talk about it in the comments below. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel. Check out all the stuff linked in the description as well. Thank you so much, and I will see you next time.